Hey everyone. I decided that I would have a little bit more preparation this time around. I planned for this time in advance, thinking that if I have anyone watching from Australia or Europe, I don't know if I have any European viewers. That would be a question to ask my community sometime. I know that my live streams are so sporadic and all over the place, but Colin Johnson, I think I know who you are. I don't want to give it away just in case you got privacy policies or anything like that. But welcome in, assuming you're the Colin I'm thinking about. Oh man, I am so pumped. I just got some new pants from Amazon, which you might have noticed I've been wearing those same old raggy things for like months on end. And so it's like walking around in pajamas in public. It is so great. Got a chance to play ukulele. Good one, Jevil. Welcome in. Glad to see you 2 streams in a row. Yeah, ukulele was great. I love how they got Grant Kirkhope, the guy who made the Banjo-Kazooie soundtracks. He helped rearrange all of his songs into an arrangement that the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra could do. So that has been great. Right before I started the live stream, I was reminiscing about my past and how when I went to Catholic Heart, when I went to Catholic Heart Work Camp, it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And to say that I'm a different person now, thanks to the people I met there, would be such an understatement. And I was listening to a lot of the music that I have planned for my end of year videos. And let's just say I was listening to a song from Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I was like, "Oh, this is so appropriate." Hello there, Manny. Um, I don't see you in my comment section a whole lot, so please forgive me if I'm treating you like a stranger, but welcome in. For those of you that might be new here, my name's Paul. I am not a girl. I know I look and sound like one, but nope. Chromosomes, bone tests, and the doctor can tell you otherwise. I love reviewing video games. I love talking about events in my life. I love encouraging people not to spend full price on Nintendo games and get onto renting it. And if there's anyone from Australia watching this and saying, but Paul, rentals don't exist in Australia, I did the research. I looked up, are there rental services in Australia? And there was one called Rent the Roo. We don't have kangaroos here in America, so there you go. You played ukulele before. That's nice, Jevel. Very, very, very nice. I did not like that game, but that was. It was nice that the company was trying to. It was nice that the company was trying to recapture the magic of Banjo Kazooie, and it was from a lot of the original developers. So that was super cool to have the guys who essentially made one of the first video games I ever played into the masterpiece that it is. And yes, I get it. It's dated. But at the same time, there are elements of it that still hold up really well. And I'm the type of person that will go back to games that I used to love and say that I hate them, but every time I go back to Banjo-Kazooie, I still end up loving it. Sonic review. I've made a lot of Sonic reviews. You might have to be a bit more specific. But if you're talking about Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, oh, I love that game so much. I think I can safely say that I like it better than Mario Kart World, but I will say though, it is pretty darn close. Like Mario Kart World, I think definitely has the better soundtrack. Like I love big band, I love jazz, and I love orchestral music, and Sonic Racing Crossroads has none of that in its soundtrack. So that's an automatic win. And as much as I'm disappointed that the free roam mode doesn't have a story mode, it's a heck of a lot better than Sonic Racing just telling you just go race more. So I appreciate that it has something else besides just going around in a circle. A $50 gift card. Very nice. Plants vs. Zombies Replanted is coming out on, I think it's coming out on Switch 1, so you might be able to get it. Huh. Orville's here now. Wow. Oh, we got a lot of people coming in by my standards, at least. YouTube probably says that's pathetic. So, Orville, welcome in. You missed me yapping like crazy about how much I love Sonic Racing Crossworlds and how much I love Ukulele. So, there you go. There's my good news. What about yourself? Pat Paxton Grant, welcome in. Um, so the thing about live streams is that they go by your channel's name and not by the name you give in your comments. So please forgive me if I'm treating you like a stranger. But my favorite open world game is Tears of the Kingdom. That's also my favorite video game in general. And I know that that's an unpopular opinion because it's the cool thing to hate on Tears of the Kingdom nowadays. But honestly, when I replayed it again on Switch 2, I just ended up liking it more. Like playing it at 60 frames in 4K was absolutely glorious. And I know that there's my tongue is sore if you're wondering why I'm talking funny. Um, the Sky Islands, yes, they're repetitive, but they also have really good resources on them. And the view is absolutely stunning. Like every single time I got to a Sky Island, I was like, oh my goodness, I just want to take a look at the land of Hyrule and just take it all in. And I love the atmosphere around a lot of the dungeons. I like a lot of the bosses, except the one in the water temple. That one was kind of lackluster. Final battle was cool. The music was really great when it decided to have music. Not much I don't like about Tears of the Kingdom, besides the story, but I'm hoping they fix that in Age of Imprisonment. Xbox Series X. I have never played that, so you'll have to tell me what makes it different from Xbox One. I think that if you've never played Tears of the Kingdom, but you've played Breath of the Wild, you should be totally fine because it's the same engine, the same overworld, and most of the same mechanics. If you haven't played Breath of the Wild, I think, yes, it was marketed as a sequel, but boy, does it try its darndest not to feel like a sequel. Like, it hardly even mentions the events of the previous game and kind of just assumes that, like, you don't really care. So don't be too turned off if you haven't played Breath of the Wild, because it's easy enough to pick up and play by itself. Oh, that's boring, Jevil. I was hoping it had like new features or something like that. Then again, I suppose that's what the Switch 2 is, but it does have new features. It has a built-in microphone, which I know doesn't sound like much, but for game chat, I know Nintendo tried to hype that thing up like crazy, and a lot of us were like, "Oh, Nintendo, why the heck are you blabbing about game chat like it's the next big thing?" But let me tell you guys, I live on a highway, as you can probably tell because my window's open. And I forgot to get some water, so I will be right back. Um, in the meantime, you guys can talk amongst yourself or think about questions you want to ask or just flat out write them. I will get back to them in just a couple of seconds, so I'll be right back. So for those of you so for those of you that are new to my live streams, this water is what I call my energy gauge. As soon as this runs out, I am on the verge of ending the stream. So just fair warning. Consider it like a timer of sorts. All right, let's catch up with chat. I tried playing Security Breach on the Switch and it was awful. It was one of the most unoptimized experiences I've ever played, besides maybe Pokemon. I haven't played Pokemon Sword and Shield, so I can say it is the most unoptimized experience I've ever played. Uh, yeah, I'm always thirsty. What's actually the fun in horror games? I don't play a whole lot of horror games, but I will say though, if you ever meet the Gloom Hands in Tears of the Kingdom, that is one of the most horrifying moments I have ever seen in a Zelda game, besides maybe the moon. But I can say that I was 10 times more scared seeing the Gloom Hands than I was when the moon was about to fall in Majora's Mask. Yeah, yeah, very much like an hourglass. Oh, I would agree, Orville. I probably would have liked it if I had played it on console, but even if I had, that kind of gameplay just isn't my thing. I'm not good at stealth and that whole like switching between cameras. And when I got to the part where I had to like avoid the sun and the moon guy in the playground, the save station like kept going on the fritz. And I just said, to heck with this. If the game's not even gonna let me save, like that's just bad game design. And I don't even think the game justified it. So I'm the type of person that when I play games, I like to have definitive standards as far as when I can save and when I can't. So if there's a game out there that gives you artificial restrictions on when and where you can save, then that's going to be a huge turnoff for me. Like I know Persona games are notorious for not having an autosave, and as I've gotten older, I have been more and more mad at that. Like I got all the way to the second dungeon in Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and I died in one battle, and I had to redo an entire dungeon again, and I just said, to heck with this. I have beaten Tokyo Mirage Sessions twice, once on the Wii U and once on the Switch, but I probably won't do it again if it's going to have the lack of an autosave. Rushed. Oh, well, that's a shame. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad the DLC added an autosave. In my opinion, pretty much every game deserves an autosave. I especially hope that if they ever put Zero Escape on the Switch, that those games get autosaves, because boy, do they need them. And by the way, we are not going to talk about Zero Escape spoilers on this stream because I have a friend who is currently playing through 999 for the first time. She has forgotten to update me on her progress. So I don't know how far she is, but I don't think she's gotten that far. So if you are going to talk about 999, talk about the first escape room and the introduction to the nonary game. And that's it. Don't say anything else about the game. Let's see. Oh, so you don't like third-party games on the Switch, Jevil? Care to explain why? Hmm. Well, that is a real shame because I hate it when games are rushed. But at least if the DLC was able to like pick up the slack, then that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Let me type to my that said friend that I'm live streaming so that she can join if she wants to. She probably won't, but if she does, just be respectful. Um, she's a newbie to Zero Escape, but I got her into it. So I'm super thankful that there's like at least 3 people I can think of who got into Zero Escape because of my involvement. All right, there we go. Sent the message. All right, now we will wait and see. All right, let's see what you guys have said. Achievements. I've never seen the merit in achievements, except in Stanley Parable. Those are really cool. Coin stands? What are coin stands? Or was that a typo? I'm afraid I'm not catching the reference. Oh, did I miss one? Let me make sure. I did miss one. Sorry about that. Paxton Grant said games that let you save every time are chill out games. Yeah, that's Tears of the Kingdom for you. That game lets you save anytime. Any virtual console or Switch Online game, same thing. Love it. I love even being able to save mid cutscene. Stands to hold coin? Oh, you mean stands? I still don't get it. Sorry. I'm an old timer. You guys got to go easy on me with these new age terminologies. I don't get what it means to be based or W or F in the chat. All that stuff is completely outside my purview. So if you say all that stuff, I'm going to wonder why you're speaking gibberish. And if you say that on certain videos, those comments are going to be deleted. I have put a pinned comment on said videos, so you can't blame me for saying, "What? We didn't know it." Yes, you did. You have eyes. Well, then again, I've heard that blind people can watch YouTube, but 99% of you have eyes. Let's see. Controls on the Xbox. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you're used to the controls, then I would want you to get the I'd want you to get the best controlling experience. Welcome in, Kateri Games. I don't know if you want me to say your real name or not, but glad you could make it. I still don't get what that means, but glad you could come. What's been some cool things that have happened to you lately? Uh, I'm the type of person that loves wearing shirts that have to do with my interests. And this shirt is the shirt that I wore on the trip where I got my miraculous healing. So there you go. I'm wearing a piece of history on me. I have never actually owned an Xbox of my own. My siblings had Xboxes. And I would always complain that the user interface was too weird. I'd be like, I just want to play the game. Why do I have to go through all these menus? And that was like my big turnoff. I think I eventually figured out how to do it, but I still just said like, why can't I just insert the game and start playing it like I can on Nintendo systems? I also want the exclusives. Like Nintendo is really the only place you can get stuff like Fire Emblem and Punch Out, Zelda and Mario and another code, cool stuff like that. $500 for a Switch 1? That's insane. No, I would not say it's worth it at that price, especially with those terrible Joy-Cons. The Switch 1 Joy-Cons have to be probably my least favorite Nintendo controller. Might even like them less than the Super Nintendo controller, and that's saying something, because I really don't like the Super Nintendo controller. I've never tried the Virtual Boy controller, but I've heard that one was not too great either. I think my favorite Nintendo controller is probably the Wii U. I know that's an unpopular opinion because um, a lot of people say the GameCube controller is their favorite, but I would be more willing to buy a Wii U styled set of Joy-Cons than I would GameCube ones. Although I do have GameCube related Joy-Cons, so I guess that's a non-comparison. Let's see, the newer Xbox, no disk drive. That's terrible. That would be an automatic turnoff for me because I like to be able to rent my games from GameFly. Yeah, that's weird. Like, I know my sister has mentioned that that would like throw her off whenever we would play the Switch together. Is she'd be like, "Why are the buttons so different than it is on Xbox?" And yeah, I think it's unfortunate that they don't go for a more unified system of the buttons. Oh man. Yeah, my tongue is so sore today. I think it was because I had a piece of my toothbrush stuck in my front teeth, and then I tried so hard to like get it out, um, get it out of my teeth that it ended up making my tongue feel semi-numb when I woke up in the morning. Okay, Walmart has a Switch one for. Oh, I would say, um, if you can get the Switch 2 down to about 300 or 400 Orville, I would say that's probably worth it. Unless you really like Mario Kart. Why do Catholics hate Protestants? Heck no. No way. Some of the greatest people that I know are Protestants. And to be fair, one thing that I really admire about Protestants is that they really know their Bible verses. That can be how do I word this? That can be to their detriment at times because sometimes they'll like quote a verse out of context and then like one verse later it'll end up contradicting themselves. Like there's a lot of Protestants out there that'll like quote, I forget which verse it is. It's something in Ephesians where it says like by grace. Oh, you don't want me to open a barrel? Sorry, I don't know what that means. Can you put that in concrete terms? Sorry, I'm a bit of a literal thinker. Um, okay, yeah, if you want me to shut up, I can shut up. But no, I don't hate Protestants. I like them a lot. I agree with a lot of things that they believe. I just, as someone who has had so many miraculous healings during Holy Communion and Eucharistic adoration, there's no way that I can think that the Catholic Church is fake. With my back and shoulders being better, again, this t-shirt is a legacy. It's not just a fashion statement. All right, let's catch up with chat here. Graphics being better is cool, but if they don't have good games, that's where I draw the line. Offending me? All right, let me state what does offend me so that you guys don't have to keep asking questions. I don't like disloyalty. So like pity subs, that's something I hate. Like I don't like it when like I'm telling people in person like, "Hey, I have a YouTube channel." And they say, "Oh, I'm just going to subscribe." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you haven't even seen a single video I've made." I want the loyalty. I want the I've seen like 10 of your videos and I feel like you're worthy of a subscription. That's the kind of stuff I like. If someone just subs because they can, I'll be like, "Oh, that really hurts. Don't do that." I don't like lying. I don't like piercings. I don't like people talking about piercings, so don't get any ideas in the chat. Don't mention it. Don't mention needles, cacti, earrings, anything that has a pokey bit. Don't mention it, or else I will block your comment. Last time I accidentally blocked a person, so please don't make me accidentally do that again. I think that's everything. Um, yeah, there you go. There you go. How do I feel about Palestine? I have no clue what you're talking about, Jevil. I am so sorry. Exclusive game? Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest draw of the Switch 2 is going to be its exclusives. Like Donkey Kong Bonanza is one of those games that is an absolute experience that you're not going to find anywhere else. Water flosser? Yeah, I could probably use something like that. Let's see. Um, okay, I think I've caught up with chat. That's good. Yeah, as far as general rules on this channel, I don't allow profanity, so I will delete anything that has swearing in it. You can say the word hell as long as you don't use it in a profane way. Like, if you want to talk about hell as a place, that's fine. But if you're like using hell as a swear word, then I'll be like, that's a bit of a drawing the line there. I don't really like R-rated stuff. Like I always tell people, try to keep it PG or PG-13. Um, I don't mind talking about politics, but I'm not good at it. So I probably won't understand a single word you guys are talking about if you bring it up. So I wouldn't say it offends me, but I'm going to be acting like you're speaking a bunch of gibberish if you do bring it up. And I also do not tolerate people bringing up that video. If you know what it is, don't mention it, or I will delete that comment as well. We bring up my modern stuff here on this channel because I have been on YouTube since 2013, and if there's one thing YouTubers hate, it's their own stuff. They like to think that they've gotten better. So hopefully you guys, if you have ever seen my old stuff, you can look at that, cringe, cringe, and say, oof, oof, Paul has gotten better. Yes, that is exactly what I mean. So we are going to pretend that that thing doesn't exist. Once I hit 7,000 subscribers, that thing is getting deleted and yeeted out of existence. Ugh. Honestly, Orville, something that something that helped me get used to the sound of my own voice was that before I got onto YouTube, I did public speeches. And I also like the fact that my voice is so unique. Like, I don't think anyone could ever replicate it. And you may have noticed in some of my older videos, I've actually tried to make it even higher pitched just because I like the idea of sounding so different. And I've never felt weird when people will say, like, "Are you a woman?" and make those kinds of insults. I'm like, heck, I'm the most unique sounding person in the universe. That is an accomplishment. Actually, on that note, I don't have any way of proving it, but I do believe that my voice being able to stay like it is actually the result of a miraculous intervention. Because when I was about, I'd like to say 11 or 12, give or take, I just remember praying to God so hard, please don't let me go through that whole voice changing nonsense that I've heard horror stories about in puberty, like the voice cracking and the all over the place, and it didn't happen. So there you go. Might have just been a coincidence, but it was a good coincidence. Um, I would say that if you don't like the sound of your own voice, something that you might want to consider is maybe like changing your voice. Like if you know how to do voice acting, maybe like talk like someone else and see how that treats you. That's something I've done in some of my older videos when I'm like acting out a character and people will like think that it's just a recording because I've been told that I'm a really good mimic. Well, thank you, Kateri. Oh man, that means a lot to me because it is painful to watch my old stuff, and I mean that literally. Like I get red in the forehead, and I'm just like, why the heck did I ever do that? Hello, Matthew. Welcome back. Yes, we are still on for Thursday. By the let me double check which Thursday. Yes, this Thursday. We are still on for that, just in case you ask. How are you doing? Now there are some of my old videos that I still like The Great Embrace, the new version that I made, well, new, it was made in 2014. The one where my brother is playing the drums. I still think that video is held up really well. Um, let's see. The speech that I gave to a bunch of high schoolers, I think that one is okay. It's sort of hard to listen to nowadays, but it goes to show a little bit of like how I learned how to be comfortable talking. Absolutely, Peggle. You know me too well. I've been learning from coming to your streams. Welcome in. What's been some great news on your end lately? Minecraft. Okay. Okay, I have never played Minecraft, Orville. Um I am scared away by all the creativity because I have the drawing skills of a toddler. Like you guys should see me trying to draw a person. Like oh my gosh, I've embarrassed people with my drawing skills. Columbus Day. What's Columbus Day? I pay more attention to religious holidays than I do civic holidays. So honestly, I didn't even notice that it was Columbus Day until I tried to check the mail and I was like, "Oh, we didn't get the mail today. I wonder why." I looked at my calendar. Oh, that's why. The calendar also calls it Indigenous Peoples Day. So I don't know what that means. The day Columbus discovered Australia. I cannot pronounce that name, but welcome in, person that Jesus died for. Um, it's hard to explain how to change your voice, but like for me, I just try to envision what that person sounds like. And then my voice just naturally gravitates toward that. Like, I don't know, if I want to sound like Harry Potter, I'll just start talking like this, and that just happens. Or if I want to talk like Hermione, I just want to say Wingardium Leviosa. And like I said, it just kind of happens. So if you just really think about that character and the way their mouths move and the like getting into the character's movements, everything all adds up. You guys are typing really fast. So let me see if I can catch up. Happy birthday, Peggle. Hope that you enjoy that. Um, if they have ice cream in Australia, I hope you get some cherry stuff because that's my favorite. Fun to play with. I bet Minecraft would be fun to play with friends. Let's see. Cook discovered Australia? I don't know who that is. Uh oh, I have played Hollow Knight actually. And oh, I didn't like it. I thought it was too hard, and I thought the beginning was a bit too grindy. Like, there was one guy who kept asking for a lot of money, and I was like, "Oh, I don't even have anywhere close to that amount of money." So I had to go all the way back to where all the bugs were, and I had to keep beating a bunch of bugs so that I could keep getting the money. And then I had to figure out where the guy was that wanted the money in the first place. And I just said, "Oh heck no, I'm out of here." So I'm not even gonna try Silk Song, but I respect it. Oh, I love Shovel Knight. I don't think it's one of the greatest games of all time, but it was fun enough when I recently replayed it. I was happy seeing Shovel Knight and Yooka Replay too. Love his 3D render too. Um, I love uh I love Shovel Knight's appearance in Smash as well. People have said I should be a voice actor, but the thing is that all of those people who say that, they don't think about the logistics of like what it would actually mean to be a voice actor. They just think of it from an idealistic standpoint, but they don't think about like the hours that it takes and the creative control and the non-disclosure agreements and the public pressure. Like, I get enough public pressure as it is on certain parts of my channel. And goodness knows I do not need all of that attention. So if I were to be a voice actor, I imagine I'd probably never get peace and quiet, and I'd be harassed like heck. And I wouldn't be able to feel like I can have an authentic connection with my audience as I do now. And that's why I love the fact that YouTube only says 6 people are watching this. Because if I was a voice actor, I imagine I'd probably get like 700, and I wouldn't be able to respond to every comment, and I'd feel terrible. That's why I am usually, when it comes to like views on my channel, I'm happy enough if it hits like 200 or 300. And if I consider something a rousing success, I would say like probably like 1,100 is like, okay, that's good enough. Like, any more than that, and I'll probably wonder if like something is wrong with the audience. Actually, I have actually thought that a few times. Like, I made a video where I 100%ed platform 8 and didn't make any mistakes. It was a perfect run, and it was 100%ing it all in one go. And it got 64 likes, and I think it got like 1,300 views. And every single comment had nothing to do with the video. And that is why I generally prefer conversation more than I prefer views. Favorite Italian saint? Oh, that's a good question. I don't really know too much about nationalities, but I would say that my favorite saint is Saint Joseph. Hence why I named myself after him. My confirmation name, I mean. Um, my full legal name. Well, technically, my legal name has 3 names, but in the Catholic Church, we take on a second middle name as a way of like embodying a holy person that came before us. Oh, YouTube is ridiculously strange. Like, there are some videos that I'll like do the research, like my Putt Putt and Deltarune being referenced video. I was thinking that was going to hit off so much. I was thinking like, okay, I'm the very first person in the world to make that connection. And I even did the research. I looked up forums and I typed in, did Deltarune reference Putt Putt? Not a single person online, no one on YouTube, no one on Reddit made that connection. So I thought, oh, goody, when you're the first person to do something, you become a trendsetter, and that's going to be great. Only one person commented on it. But yet, the videos that I was like, yeah, I'll just put it out there because I need to stay consistent. Then those videos get all the attention. I'm like, what the heck? Why are my passion projects so poorly received? But the stuff that I spend a couple of seconds on, stuff that I spend a couple of seconds on, yeah, there are days when I have some choice words towards my audience. Italian brat brain? Brain? I had a dyslexia moment there. Brain rot. I have no idea what that is, Jevil. You'll have to tell me about that. What's awesome? Paxton Grant. I'm afraid I probably talked too fast for you guys. I'm sorry about that. 72,000 views. Yeah, I think I'd go insane. I would go absolutely insane if I got those kinds of views. Hello, Noggin. My day is doing great. I know a YouTuber named Noggin who did a collaboration with Arlo, and that was the very first time I had ever heard of Arlo. And the video was the top 10 worst game theory videos. And Arlo just absolutely trashed on a bunch of videos that Noggin did. And he did a good job of making it seem like you could have actually taken him seriously. Like, oh, yeah, these videos actually were awful. And that's what got me into Arlo. And now I watch Arlo significantly more than I watch Noggin. That's true. Person whose name I can't pronounce. I do love reviewing video games, and I do love sharing my thoughts. So I had a new perspective ever since my friends Danielle and Matt watched my Best Games of 2024 video. And that's what the YouTuber with the name Noggin, it's spelled like good noggin, like Gnoggin. The 10 worst game theory videos. That was my introduction to Arlo. Um, Let me put a pin on that because someone just showed up. Hello, Drippy Julius. Sorry. Welcome in. Glad you could make it. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time you've talked to me live. So glad you could make it. Read the pin comment. Don't mention my most popular video on my channel. Don't mention needles. You can talk about politics, but I won't understand a word of them. Just a couple of rules that we got here. But otherwise, we keep it chill. We try to keep a good community here. And I hope that by the end of the day, every single person on my channel can be my friend, which probably won't happen, but a man can dream. So, what was I saying earlier? Um, what was I saying earlier? Oh, well, it'll come back to me. My therapist has told me that I have a disease where, not a disease, a disorder, where I have a really good long-term memory. Like I can remember stuff from like 15 years ago, like it happened yesterday. But in the moment, sometimes I can be in the middle of doing or saying something and I just completely lose it. And I just like freeze and I'm like, what was I doing? What was I thinking about? And once my therapist worded it to me in that way, I was like, how did I not notice that all this time? So that explains it. We're already friends. I'll have to take your word for it because I don't know a word of whatever that language is that you're using. Not even one single character. But hey, it is. I am very amazed that. I am very amazed that two of the people that started out as commenters on my channel I've been able to meet in person. Literally every sitcom had a DS game? Oh, yeah. I didn't play most of those because I was the type of guy that didn't really like playing games that were based on movies. So I did not really get into most of the Star Wars video games, most of the like Disney movies that had games I didn't play. There were a few exceptions. Like I played Tarzan a lot when that came to the Nintendo 64. I played Toy Story 2 a bit. Let's see. There was one more that I really got into. I played a lot of Lego Star Wars. I played all four versions of Lego Star Wars, actually, the console versions of them. Like I played the first one on the PC. The second one was also PC. Complete Saga, I played a little bit of that on the Wii, and then Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, I played that on the Switch. Favorite topping on pizza: pineapple, closely followed by ham. Corey in the House Game of the Year? I haven't heard of that, but I hope that you really like it. Yes, I have played Lego Harry Potter. Good catch, Matthew. Battlefront series? Oh, you mean Star Wars Battlefront? I have heard terrible things about that game. Like, I have heard that it was basically the catalyst for loot boxes being, like, told to tone it down by law. Victorious. I watched a little bit of Victorious, but then I started doing some research on Dan Schneider, and man, that guy gives me the creeps. Like, it seems like he really put those kids through a lot of really horrible stuff, and it kind of makes me want to boycott everything Nickelodeon has done, because if that kind of abuse of power was done, oof, the fact that he got away with it so long is disgusting. I could be wrong, but I think there's enough evidence to prove that he earns his nickname of Dirty Dan. Battlefront 2. Yeah, you guys are. I have never played the Battlefront games. You forgot that Corey in the house had a video game? I didn't even know that that had a video game, so you and me both. I would say that when the DS came out, that's probably the system, along with the Wii, that probably had the most games for it. And by the time the DS was, like, in its prime for game releases, I was, like, just not keeping up with most of them because even Nintendo Power was, like, not reviewing a lot of them because they just, couldn't keep up with it. And even after Nintendo Power discontinued, there were still DS games coming out. Heck, Shantae Advance just came out, so even the GBA is somewhat still a relevant thing. GBA game in 2025. That is a really cool feeling. It's like the feeling I got when I first played Star Fox 2, because that was originally designed for the Super Nintendo, but it didn't come out until 2017 when they made the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, and that was so cool. iCarly and Victorious. I have not seen iCarly. I've seen clips of it. But I do like Miranda Cosgrove. She seems like a cool person, and she seems like she's a pretty good actor. Ah. Well, that is good that this Spencer person was able to stop Dan from doing his nonsense. Yes, Ariana Grande was fantastic in Victorious. I have a thing for airheaded girls. I don't know what it is. Like some of my best friends are the klutzes. Why am I staying up so late? So that Peggle can be here. That's really the simple answer. Is she always gets mad at me when I live stream when she's sleeping. So I said, well, for once, I actually don't have anyone that's going to try to tell me off for talking, and I'm just going to try to accommodate for Australian preferences. If there are other Australians here, that'd be great, but I doubt it because most other Australians don't really talk to me a whole lot. That is wild that Tom Kenny is still voicing SpongeBob. Like, the closest thing that I can think of to an actor going on that long being the same character. It's the two that come to mind is Charles Martinet. He voiced Mario from 1991 all the way to 2022. And then um, Mike, I forget his last name. Mike Pollock, I think his name is the guy who voices Dr. Robotnik. He's been playing her since 2000, or he's been playing Robotnik since 2003. And he does like so many other things. It's insane how long these voice actors are willing to stay on. Yeah, that's true. Ariana does. I haven't seen her in anything else besides Victorious, but she does seem like the kind of girl that I'd probably get along with really well in real life. Albeit, I probably wouldn't want to plan too many hangouts with her because I tend to get easily irritated by forgetful people. I tend to be the type of person that I usually respond to stuff within 24 hours and expect the same of others. And if you're going to keep me waiting, then that's going to be one of the quickest ways to get on my nerves. I'm sorry. Oh, oh, yes. I actually don't know what that meme is about Robotnik, Julius. So if you'd like to let me know, that'd be great. Oh, Colleen yeah, that is a hard name to pronounce. That is cool that they got her to be Tails in the Sonic movies as well. She also played Charmy as well, which I thought was neat, even if it sounded like that was a really, really, really forced kid's voice. And then Roger Craig Smith, he's been voicing Sonic since 2010, so that's quite the long run. Um, Kenny James, the current voice of Bowser. Technically, his first Mario game was Super Mario Strikers, but then he started regularly voicing the character in 2007 with Super Mario Galaxy and has voiced Bowser ever since. So that is going on. This year would mark 20 years since he first voiced Bowser, but it would mark 18 years since he's been regularly voicing the character. Which means that within the next 2 years, we should expect him to be replaced, if Samantha Kelly is any indication. Because it seems like 20 years is the hard spot for Nintendo. Because Deanna Mustard, she started voicing Daisy in 2003 with Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. And what was the first game that didn't have her voice in it? It was Super Mario Brothers Wonder. And what's significant about that? It was released 20 years after Toadstool Tour. Takahashi Nago, whatever the guy who played Donkey Kong was before the current guy, he had been voicing Donkey Kong since 2004. Or was it 2005? Whatever year Jungle Beat came out. And what was the last game that he voiced in before that? It was Super Mario Party Jamboree, 20 years later. So I don't think it's a coincidence. I think the only reason they kept Charles Martinet on for so long is because they were either trying to find a new actor but didn't know what to do, or something was going on behind the scenes. I think someone thinks that the reason Charles was let go was as simple as they thought he was too old for the role and they wanted the character to sound younger, which I can get that to an extent. But at the same time, I still think it's a bit disrespectful to the guy when, like, just listen to him talk in any interview he's given since he's become the Mario ambassador. He loves it, absolutely loves doing the voice. And he's even hinted that if Nintendo ever asked him to come back, he'd totally do it. Oh, yeah, Sonic Frontiers. I don't blame Roger. I'm pretty sure it was the voice direction because I've played Sonic games that came after Frontiers, and he sounds back to how I remember him sounding. Yeah, I was really surprised. I thought, oh, I guess Sonic Frontiers is the game where they got a new voice actor for Sonic, but nope. Roger Craig Smith apparently he started voicing Sonic with Sonic Colors and has been consistently voicing him ever since. I do think that that's weird though that the Werehog in Sonic Racing Crossroads doesn't have voice lines. If I had to guess why, it's because Jason Griffith voiced the Werehog in Sonic Unleashed. And I don't think they wanted to disrespect his portrayal. I think Roger could have probably done a fake voice. I don't know what the harm would have been in that. Unless if he just didn't want to do it. Um, I don't think I got far enough from Frontiers to know how Amy sounded in Sonic Frontiers, but I will tell you one cool fact about Amy Jevil. And that's that the actress that plays Amy is also the actress that played the announcer and Zero the Third in Virtue's Last Reward. So the next time you think of Amy, you can think of the Zero Escape series. And that's so cool that some people from such an ancient Zero Escape game are still voice acting. Like Laura Bailey, she was the one that played Luna in Virtue's Last Reward. She's still acting. And let's see, who else is still acting from that crusty old game? Because Virtue's Last Reward came out in 2012. So it's like, how the heck are these guys still alive? Dave B. Mitchell, he's the current voice of Knuckles. In Virtue's Last Reward, he played Tenmyoji and he also played Gollum. So there you go. There's another Virtue's Last Reward guy that's in a Sonic game. Was there? Oh, and there's another Zero Escape actress in a Sonic game, Karen Strassman. She's the current voice of Rouge. She played Fi in both. She played Fi in Virtue's Last Reward. So you got 3 Zero Escape actors in the Sonic series at present. Are there any from 999? Let me think. I don't think so. I know Sean Chiplock. He's the voice of Silver. He voiced the Deku Tree in Breath of the Wild. I don't know if that counts. But yeah, you ever want to know crazy trivia about your favorite video games? I'm the guy to ask. I've been told that I am really good at Trivial Pursuit, especially if it's Harry Potter themed. Alrighty. Whew. So, just as a heads up, if you came in late, this is my energy gauge. So once it's gone, I'm gone. Mm. I never hate actors or actresses because of the characters they play, unless if the character is a radical extreme. Well, I don't hate anyone to be specific, but I will say that generally speaking, when I see an actor portraying someone, I know that it's just acting, unless if it's an extremist. Then I would say, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that actor is just trying to do propaganda in the form of acting. And in that case, I'm just like, yeah, no, can't handle that. I don't think. Oh, well, I hope you have a good time at work, Matthew. Thank you so much for dropping by. Laura Bailey, I've seen a little bit of her talking in person. She seems pretty cool. Definitely the polar opposite of how she portrays Lucina in Fire Emblem Awakening. Her voice was so iconic as Lucina that they ended up reusing her lines from Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U when they made Smash Ultimate, because by then she had been replaced by Alexis Tipton. But I guess they just didn't want to have Alexis re-record all those lines. So Laura Bailey was able to be Lucina in one more game, even if she didn't record any new lines. Very true, Kateri. Very true. Yeah. Most actors actually don't have very good values, so that's why I typically don't think too hard if an actor plays a goody two shoes character, because they're probably a piece of scum in real life. Although I do remember I watched a TV show called The Waltons, and the actor who played John Walton, the character he played was an atheist, or not an atheist, but more so of like just a very non-practicing Christian. Like, he decided to just interpret things on his own. Like, he decided, you know what, why should I bother going to church? What's the point? It's not going to help me provide for my family. Like, that kind of type of guy. But yet in real life, he was a preacher. So I found that was so ironic that he played such a terrible Christian. Oh, I love the Waltons. Yeah, I love the fact that just about every person in that show played themselves, but not 100% themselves. But like if you were to do like a psychological evaluation of them, like if you're into like personality types and all that, pretty much all of the actors are the same personalities as their characters. Like Ellen Corby was just as stern and punctual as her character was. Her values, not so much, but like, her character was all about like, you got to do it exactly right. Ellen was actually like that in real life. And Will Gear was just as much of a doofus in real life as you saw in the show. In fact, he was actually hired because he had been blacklisted because he was a communist, so he could only play villains. And the Waltons was like a breakthrough role for him because they said, we just want you to be yourself. And if you know Will Gear, he's a guy who talks a lot, and he's just this very, like, very boisterous, very bubbly, outgoing person. And in real life, he and Ellen, the quabbles they had as the grandparents were very similar to how they acted in real life. Yeah, yeah, that's unfortunate about Ariana Grande. But then again, Victorious is the kind of show where, like, how do I word this? It's the kind of show where you kind of know that it's all acting because the writing was just so corny that it's like, how the heck is any of this realistic? No, I get it. I get it, Kateri. I totally get it. Because for a while I tried to still watch episodes of The Cosby Show, but then the more I researched the stuff that Cosby did to the cast members of that show, the more I said, oh, I don't know if I can handle this anymore. Like, I can still appreciate the funny jokes, but if those jokes came at the expense of people's dignity, that's where I would draw the line a bit. But that's why I can still watch Harry Potter because I remember for the longest time I thought J.K. Rowling was the most and this is before the controversy. So I'm talking about something totally different than what everyone else is thinking. There was a time where J.K. Rowling was really progressive, and she always wanted to insert, like, the latest thing into her projects that were never there to begin with. Like, she would want to say, "Oh, that character was transgender all along," and it's like, where in the books did it ever give any indication of what you're talking about? Why? Because it was cool. She would say, like, "Oh, this character is bisexual." What does that even mean? Like, I know what it means, but, like, what does it mean in the narrative, I mean? And then, like, after Cursed Child came along and they cast a black actress to play Hermione, she, like, doubled down on saying, yes, Hermione was always black, but she didn't say that until after the play came out, and people were, like, criticizing her saying, you do realize that there are instances in the book where you described Hermione as being white. So it's not an issue of us being racist. It's an issue of you're contradicting yourself to save face. So I very much had to separate the art from the artist when I read Harry Potter because I was like, man, this woman is something else with regards to her views. But at least her views didn't negatively impact the Harry Potter series as she was writing it, which that's good enough for me. Alrighty. Well, I gotta say, I really appreciate you guys sticking around for so long because the last stream we had, it was a real struggle. But I'm glad that you guys have been willing to stick around because man, doing these live streams can sometimes be very exhausting. And I don't think I'll be doing one again for a very long time. So I'm glad that you caught me when you did. I'm afraid I have no idea what you're talking about, Jevil, but I'm glad you liked that song. I would say my favorite lyrical piece from a video game would have to be Breaking Free Heart of Gold from Donkey Kong Bonanza. There's just something about that song where, like, I don't want to spoil it because it is the credits theme, but, like, you could sing it to someone that you're friends with, and if they knew the game, they would immediately know that it's platonic. And I feel like there needs to be more songs like that, that, like, they're praising the other person, but it's not romantic. Like most songs, when you're saying, like, oh my gosh, you're the coolest person ever, it's like it has this romantic undertone to it. Like you would sing this song to a person on a date. But like Heart of Gold, if you know the context, you would know that it very much isn't a date. And that's what makes me love it so much, is that I could probably sing it to some of my best friends. And they would say, like, oh, I think that you're a great platonic friend too. And anything that promotes platonic non-shame is great for me. In fact, I might even go so far as to say Breaking Through Heart of Gold is my favorite song that's been composed this year. Well, It's my favorite lyrical piece that's been composed this year for video games. Some of those songs in Ukulele were performed with the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra, so maybe I'm just a tiny little bit biased. And Grant Kirkhope did it too, and you all know that if I wasn't a Catholic, I'd probably believe that Grant Kirkhope was the one true God because there is not a single game he's worked on where he's done a bad job. I genuinely think that um, he has the rare ability to just take any soundtrack that people ask him to do, and then he knows how to work his magic. Oh yes, World Revolving. I do really love World Revolving. I feel like it fits Jevils' character so perfectly. Pac-Mania? Oh yes, I do know that song. I only know the Smash Brothers version of it though. Chef Kiss. They didn't have that in they did. Oh, you mean you like the Dragon Quest music? Oh, okay. In Smash. Okay, I get it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid that I have the complete opposite sentiment towards Smash because all of the Dragon Quest music that they used in there were the MIDI arrangements, all of the orchestral pieces. Um, you had to buy them in the game. So, like for Dragon Quest XI, that was blatantly false advertising in the DLC because if you go in the soundtrack, it says that these songs are from the definitive edition, but they're not. They're actually from the original version. I think they just wanted to market definitive edition and didn't care that they were being sleazy about it. And they probably figured, well, technically in definitive edition, you can choose the synthesized original soundtrack, but there is. If you're paying for something, people want to know what they're paying for. And if you're being dishonest about it, that's just sleazy business practices. It depends on the music, Jevil. Generally speaking, 99% of the stuff, no. If Toby Fox does it, yes. I generally like most of Toby Fox's music. And some of the old Sonic games had pretty good music, but generally speaking, I will always take a symphony, a big band, or a jazz band over synthetics any day. Also, if Grant Kirkhope does it, because Banjo Kazooie was made using samples. And I think that is one of the most perfect soundtracks ever made. Is it one of my favorite soundtracks ever made? No. That would probably go to what is my favorite video game soundtrack? I'd have to think about that. Probably Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in terms of like the sheer quantity of it. But in terms of my favorite original soundtrack, probably Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Because that game, I'm pretty sure every song in that was performed with either an orchestra or with real instruments. And I don't think there's a single song in that soundtrack that's bad. Like, they all sound spectacular. And they sound like the kind of music that would be the perfect evolution to their respective series. Like, this was the first Ace Attorney game that was made using 3D graphics. Like, the others were all, like, done using pixel art. And so the music felt like it was a celebration of Ace Attorney being in 3D. And before you argue with me that Dual Destinies came out first, technically the Japanese version of Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright came out before Dual Destinies did. In fact, that's why Dual Destinies was widely considered kind of a laughable entry by the fans, is because Shu Takumi, the guy who wrote the mainline Ace Attorney games, was barely involved in Dual Destinies because he was too busy working on Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. And honestly, if I'm looking at the two games side by side, Versus has the superior graphics and music, in my opinion. Sure, Dual Destinies is trying to be faithful to the Ace Attorney style, but man, I want Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright on console. Guys, we need to start a petition. That game is just way too good, and not enough people talk about it. And the people that do talk about it tend to hate it. But I do know a few other people that like it. You know, there are people out there, they'll use the modern language like Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright is the GOAT, whatever that means. But It's nice to know that at least a few of us can appreciate the game for what it is, as opposed to what it was promised to be, because it was pretty notorious for being announced so early on in development that none of the original cutscenes in the reveal trailer made it into the game. And I hope, you would think video game companies would learn from that, but they haven't, as evidenced by games like Silk Song, Metroid Prime 4, Bayonetta 3, all those games that took forever to come out. Megalovania is a pretty good one, albeit very repetitive. It's the kind of song that, like, it works in context, but it's not the kind of song I would want to listen to over and over again. I like the remix in Smash, though, although I do feel like it was a very play it safe remix. Like, Toby probably could have done so much better. But then again, considering the DLC pack only cost like $7, I'm amazed that he did as well as he did. But I think my love for orchestras all started, pretty sure it all started around the time that I played Banjo-Tooie. And I noticed that the bosses had these really intense songs to them. And I just said, man, I love this kind of music. And then Twilight Princess was promised that it would have a full orchestra in its soundtrack. And then for E3 2005, Koji Kondo threw together a fully orchestral song that was going to play for the trailer. And it is actually in the game. If you wait long enough on the title screen of either the GameCube or Wii version. The problem is the final game didn't end up using an orchestra because Miyamoto thought it was unnecessary. And I remember loving how the trailer music sounded and thinking, I wish that every game soundtrack sounded as good as Twilight Princess's trailer. Yes, I do have the Nintendo Switch 2, Brian. In fact, I have it right here. I got it day one. I got the bundle with Mario Kart World, and I love it. There's a few nitpicks I have about it, like this thing gets dust and fingerprints way too easily. Um, I don't like the fact that it has a harder time connecting to the internet than the Switch 1 does, which you may not think is a big deal, but if you're like trying to set up a game of Smash Brothers in the basement, good luck getting it on Switch 2. And then I also don't like how if you leave it in sleep mode for a long time and then you try to unsleep it, the colors get all weird on the TV. How different is it? It's much bigger for starters. Like, it's actually a relatively heavy system. Like, if you've ever held a Wii U gamepad, actually, I have a Wii U gamepad. No, I don't. It's in the basement because that has the Wi-Fi password on it. But yeah, it is actually pretty darn bulky. Like, to put it into perspective, this case that I have here is a Switch 1 carrying case, and it was designed to be able to fit both the Joy-Cons and the system in. But with the Switch 2, only the system can fit in it. I have to take the Joy-Cons off. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like this case. I'm trying to remember if I got it for Christmas or whatever. I think I bought it with my own money. I have one that's themed on Mario Kart 8 over there, but I don't feel like disturbing all the dust. But one big difference is that the kickstand is significantly better. Like, it's actually way more movable. You can set it at like really awkward angles like this, and it doesn't even break the system. The Joy-Cons like snap off and snap back on. You can even do this. You can even put them on upside down so that you can have a setup that looks like this. Why you would do that, I don't know. But I found that out when I was playing Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and I just thought that was so cool. Honestly, Switch 2 Welcome Tour is the kind of game that I feel like is way too overhated. Oh, I've got some new people in chat, so let me adjust that real quick. I felt like the Switch 2 was worth the purchase because Tears of the Kingdom is my favorite game, and I got the upgrade for free. So the option to play my favorite game in 60 frames at 4K, heck yeah! Donkey Kong Bonanza, absolutely glorious game. Loved it so much. Being able to play GameCube games. Um, as far as exclusives, It depends on your tastes with regards to whether you should wait. Because if you're the kind of person that likes being able to play Switch 1 games more upgraded, then I'd say "Ugh, it has a whole backlog that you can play through. Now a lot better. But if you want new games that are super good for it, that are first party exclusives that you can't get anywhere else, at this point, really the only games I can think of that are like absolute must plays on the Switch 2 would be Mario Kart World. Yes, I know it's controversial. It is still a good game, albeit a disappointing one, and Donkey Kong Bonanza. And to a certain extent, Switch 2 Welcome Tour, depending on your budget. That is a very overhated game. I don't think it's a great game by any means, but it definitely doesn't deserve as much hate as it gets. Love it, John Paul. I actually was a bit disappointed by the final result of Twilight Princess, but I do agree that the orchestral song they used was fantastic. Oh, there's a lot of strange features about the Switch 2, Brian. Like the fact that I live on a freeway and or not a freeway, a highway, and I can like talk into my Switch with the car that just came by, and the person talking on the other side can hear me just fine. When I'm talking to people in Australia, they can hear me just fine. So it's like Australians and Americans can't exchange numbers with each other, and we're able to talk to each other through the Switch 2 as though we're on a cell phone. So I think Nintendo was absolutely genius for making the microphone be able to only pick up our voices and not pick up the cars. And Switch 2 Welcome Tour taught me so much about the system. Like it taught me about how HD Rumble works on the Switch 2 so much better than the Switch 1. It taught me about the whole like putting Joy-Cons on upside down. I love trivia, so being able to hear all that was so cool, and the tech demos were amazing. Um, I'm I'm missing out on a lot. Oh, I can't stand Peaches. So you guys go ahead and annoy me all you want. At least I don't have to hear it. I would like Super Smash Bros. Melee to come too, but I highly doubt it, given how Nintendo does not like the competitive community. Do I only play Nintendo games? Nope. A few third-party games that I really like are Persona 3 Reload. I recently played the demo of that. I plan on reviewing it once the game comes out. Yooka Replay, that was phenomenal. I don't even care that it runs at 30 frames. The game looks so gorgeous. Let's see. Zero Escape. That's one of my favorite franchises ever. That's third party. Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Um, it was published by Nintendo in the States, but elsewhere it was published by Level 5. So there's a technical third party game. Let me see what else I have here. AI the Somnium Files. I love those games. Mario plus Rabbids. Both of those games are great. Those were published by Ubisoft. Ace Attorney. I have played every Ace Attorney game ever made. Uh, I don't have a whole lot of Switch games that I still own because I rent most of my games. So it's hard to think on the spot, but like I have a whole playlist of gaming reviews that I've done, and if you don't want my absolute cringe fest of old reviews, you can just look up my video game capture card gameplay or just order the gaming reviews from newest to oldest so that you don't have to watch my old nonsense. Do I plan on getting Pokemon Legends Z? Oh, heck no. Heck no, Kevin. I cannot stand the Pokemon games. I think that they're an absolute disgrace to gaming. And it kind of sickens me how, like, the fan base for Pokemon, the fan base for Pokemon will defend those games even if they personally hate them. Like, I know some Pokemon fans who will literally say, yes, I agree that the game runs like trash. And yes, I feel like it was as rushed as heck, but I'm still going to buy it. Why? Because I like Pokemon. And I get it. For some people, they feel like you have to feel like you have ownership of a game. And I get that to an extent, but you could also rent it. You could borrow it. You could wait for it to go on sale. You could postpone it, like maybe get it via a like a third party, like maybe get it via GameStop or something so that you're not giving Nintendo as much of the profits. Get it when it's used. There are other things that you can do besides making a day one purchase for a game that runs and looks worse than Ocarina of Time. There's a reason I said that this stream was worse than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And that's because if this is the quality standard you're looking for in a video game, you shouldn't be a video game developer. And that's what I think Pokemon is. They have the same standard for someone just sit in front of a webcam and talk to people and call it a day. That's the vibe that I get from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Is that they said another year, another Pokemon game. We still won't have voice acting, still won't have an orchestral soundtrack. Um, the graphics will still be terrible. The game will run at 15 frames per second. That may have been acceptable in the Nintendo 64 game. Heck, Ocarina of Time, that came out in 1998. That game actually runs better than Scarlet and Violet. That is abysmal. Breath of the Wild, that came out on inferior hardware, and it runs better than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Those games are just, absolutely disgusting. And I will not be caught dead playing a mainline Pokemon game until they get an orchestral soundtrack and voice acting and good gameplay. Whew. And people for all the people that call me a Nintendo fanboy, clip what I just said. Because a true Nintendo fanboy would want to defend even Pokemon, and not me. I'll be right back, guys. I'm just gonna take my nightly medication. Oh, you guys can still hear me. Oh well. Just don't pay attention to the noise of the bottles. Okay, let's see. What did I miss? Never played a Pokemon game. Good for you, Kateri. You have good tastes. No, no, I know that's mean. If you like Pokemon, that's cool. I don't want to say that your tastes are terrible. I just wish that Pokemon fans would be willing to call out the absurdity of the company. Be willing to say, okay, if this company refuses to put out quality games, I'm just going to boycott it or something to that extent. Or at the very least say, like, hey, I purchased this game that is terrible because I'm an idiot. Be honest about it at the very least. Switch 2 controversy. Okay. Regarding the Switch 2 controversies, the biggest things that I've seen online about why well, let me first answer your question, Brian. Have I ever played Marvel Rivals? Doesn't sound like my kind of game. I'm not a big fan of online-only fighting games. I prefer games that have a lot of single-player content. That's why I didn't play Fall Guys for too long. Because it's like, why do you always have to be online? Why can't you play against computer players? Like that, those kind of games drive me crazy. Um, but so Switch 2. The terms of agreement say that you don't own any of your games. For me personally, that's a non-issue because I rent most of my games, and most of the games that I buy, I probably wouldn't be bothered if Nintendo ever took them away from me. So, like for example, technically I have Mario Kart World, but if Nintendo ever said like, hey, for some odd reason we are going to be mean and take away Mario Kart World, I'd be like, oh well. But at the same time, the games that I have rented feel like I enjoy them more because I rented them. Because the average person doesn't even think about renting. The average person just says you either buy it or you don't. And as a result, they think about the price as they're playing the game, and they judge the game's merits off of the price. So when they're playing Mario Kart World, for example, they'll say, tisk, tisk, why is this problem here despite it being $80? For someone like me, How much did I pay for Donkey Kong Bonanza? My monthly subscription to GameFly, $40 a month. I said, for $40 a month, I'm getting all these other games, plus all these other benefits, plus the ability to possibly buy it off of them on sale. Plus, Nintendo is not getting as much profit. This game is spectacular. But for those that actually did buy it, they would say, "Oh my gosh, for $70 game, what the heck, Nintendo?" And I'm over here like, "You suckers are paying $70. I'm over here just paying a regular subscription service. You guys are the ones getting suckered out of your own money because you haven't done the research on alternatives." And that's why I feel like I don't want to come across like I'm defending Nintendo. There's a reason I changed my YouTube name from the Catholic Nintendo Nerd to the Catholic Gaming Nerd, because I will poke fun of Nintendo all day if you want me to. But the one thing I will absolutely defend Nintendo on, two things actually, is they produce amazing exclusives most of the time, and they have really good polish most of the time, unless it's Scarlet and Violet. So even some of the worst Nintendo games have some insane polish. Like, they really don't have any major glitches, and like, they look, better than most games of a much bigger budget on the other systems. And you can tell that Nintendo is proud of their work, but I think that's also their downfall, is they're too proud of it, and that's why they overcharge. What do I do for a living? I used to be a janitor. And then I got laid off. And what I'm doing right now is a secret. But I will tell you that part of what I do, part of what I do involves doing some teaching. So I help assist with catechism. So I teach people about God. I'm the assistant, so I don't really plan the lessons. I kind of just chime in when I have something to add, and the kids seem to like it, and the teacher really loves it. Yeah, I used to be a janitor. I was a janitor for exactly 3 years and 3 months before I was laid off, and I loved it. In fact, I loved it so much that if that place ever gets a new owner, I would happily have my job back. But welcome in, Caps 290. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Good one, Jevil. Yeah, that's a bit of a running joke on my channel. Oh, glad to see that you're one of us, assuming I read that right. One person asked me a long time ago if there was any game that I would refuse to play because of, did something bad happen? Oh, that made me lay it off. Bad ownership. Honestly, I'm pretty sure that that sums it up really nicely. Is the owner was super ambitious and wanted to make all these changes for the sake of business, all that stupid money grubbing stuff that I can't stand about Nintendo. And she said, "Well, we need to cut costs, and Paul's just a nuisance, so let's just get him out of there." I'm embellishing it a bit, but that is more or less exactly what happened. And even the current managers are like not shy about making me the unofficial complaints department, because I was a janitor at a gym, and I still have a membership to that gym as like a thank you for working there for so long. And even the current managers would say like, yeah, the current owner is a real piece of work, and I can't stand her. And I'm just like, yeah, I know how you feel. But I think janitor work works really well for me because it's routine, and I am the type of guy that I have like one of the most boring lives you guys can ever imagine. I am all about doing the same thing over and over and over again. And whenever people ask, "Don't you want more stimulation in your life?" I'm like, "No, not really." I'm really glad you thought Esabelle and I were siblings because I kind of do see her as a bit of a sister, especially considering that we've met in person 3 times now, and we have very different personalities. So We sometimes have a bit of squabbles because we're just trying to understand what the other person's even saying. But then when we do figure it out, we're like best of friends. I was a dishwasher at a college as my very first job, and I was threatened while I was there. So, not gonna happen. Yeah, I'm willing to tell you guys the story. Might as well bring awareness to the absurdity of these types of people. I was threatened by a trans ally. For those of you that don't know what that means, and after this, I'm calling it on the stream because my stomach's starting to hurt because I don't think I had enough water when I took my medication and my life energy is out. But long story short, there was a trans ally who was not liking me expressing my point of view about the whole transgenderism thing. And he came and sat next to me and he said, "Hey, I can't say I'm a big fan of all the stuff that you're saying to all of my friends. So you better watch your mouth or I'm going to call the authorities on you." "Oh, yeah, not a problem, Brian. Hey, if you want to keep talking, just pop a random message in one of my other videos besides that one, and I will respond within 24 hours. So thank you very much, and you have yourself a wonderful day." But yeah, if I didn't support transgenderism then, that person definitely made me want to support it even less. Because here's the thing, I have tried so hard to try to understand their point of view. I've done so much research on like what does it feel like to be trans and what is their mindset and stuff like that. And I want to sympathize with them so badly, but the way they treat people, even if they don't understand what the whole thing is about, is it is it's honestly terrifying. Like, it has literally made me fear for my life. Is like they'll say like, "Oh, if you see this type of person, then shoot that person on sight." And they're always yelling and screaming and hollering and trying to get people to force everything to be like appealing to them. Like they'll say like for example, when they were making Hogwarts Legacy, they put a trans character in the game. And keep in mind, Hogwarts Legacy took place in the 1800s, where that just wasn't heard of. So they made a historical inaccuracy because if they didn't, then people would accuse them of uh, cushioning up to J.K. Rowling. And they were like, well, we better make sure that everyone knows that we just do not want to offend that community. And I just wish that they would just let society be normal. There you go. That's my thoughts on the trans community is if they would stop hollering, if they would stop and just have a reasonable, logical discussion. "Oh, I didn't mean to make you not want to buy Hogwarts Legacy. I think that game's incredible." But I also no, I did buy it, but I bought it on sale. So Hogwarts Legacy is great, but that part of it isn't great. You're from Brazil? Showens? I'm afraid I don't know what that word is. You might have to enlighten me on that. But I can understand what it means to feel ostracized and to feel like no one else is in the world is like you. I mean, I feel like that all the time. There are times where I feel like certain parts of my body were an afterthought, and some people have even suggested that I was trans. Or like, "Oh, well, if you're feeling any kind of negativity about your body, then you have to be able to start mutilating it." And I'm like, what if I just am uneasy about my body like just about every single person in the universe is? Does that mean every single person in the universe is trans? So, as a result of kind of my way of like making a stand, is I've been trying to encourage body positivity to just be like, "Hey, you know what? If there's a topless equality movement, do it." There's nothing in the Bible that talks about women needing to cover their chests, as far as I'm aware. So, why do people have to sexualize everything? Just be happy with the body that you have. And um, if you're not 100% happy with the body that you have, just think about even one thing that you like about it. Like, I like my hair, for example. I like the color of my hair. I like the length of it. I like how I like how, thanks to the dermatologist, my hair's gotten thicker, so it keeps me warmer. Um, I like my weight. I think I'm at the perfect weight that I want to be. Um, I like a lot of things about my body, and just paying attention to the positives helped me be like, yeah, God didn't make a mistake. Is it wrong for a Catholic to date or be with a trans? Depends on your definition. Because personally, for me, I define man and woman based on how the church defines them, which is by your chromosome and your primary sex characteristic, which I believe is like, it's complicated for intersex people, but for like 99% of the population, just look between the legs and there's your answer. But technically, I don't think it's forbidden for a Catholic man to date someone who's biologically female who also happens to be trans if that person is rejecting trans ideology. Like, for example, you could hypothetically date someone who's gay, like a woman could date a gay man if that gay man decides to reject the gay ideology. Like, stuff like that. So Catholics are all about the ideologies more than they are the identity. Like, so many people will say like, "Oh, if you're trans, you got to embrace it. You got to all of a sudden be like radically dressing different and doing all this stuff." And the Catholics say, "Sure, we have temptations, but we can resist them." So, I I highly doubt there will ever be a woman out there that I would want to date that would have these trans feelings that would just not act on them, but I feel like if that person existed, which I doubt, but if that person existed where they just said, "I feel like I'm in the wrong body, but I'm gonna keep it anyway because God made it beautiful," then yeah, I think you could date that person. Alright, guys. I went on a bit longer than I thought. Like I said, my stomach is starting to get a bit sore, but I really appreciate all of you guys. Like I said, not a politically correct guy in the slightest. So thank you very much for paying attention to the pinned comment. If you guys have any further questions or want to start up a conversation, do so in just about any of my modern videos. Um, like I said, I've met two members of my audience through the comments section. Yes, great talking to you too, Kevin. Thanks a bunch for sticking around. So you all have a wonderful night. Oh, all right. I am starting to fall asleep. So have a good one, guys. Remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye.